All right, Stew Segura, the Mattress Doctor from Lafayette, Louisiana. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing excellent, man. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
pleasure to be able to do something like this, with somebody like you, who I've seen, a couple of your episodes, and you're a great host, and you always have some great guests. So yeah, I'm here to hopefully share a little bit of information today.
Yes, sir. Well, we're just trying to help people that are kind of in the same position you were in several years ago. Uh, Actually, people who are probably in the same position as myself, or maybe just a little bit behind me, uh, can. I know that the things that you'll have to share will help them. Man, I'm really disappointed that I didn't hit record last time we did this show. So I do want it to go on record that I was the first guy to have you on his podcast.
Okay, okay.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I know I beat Pete Primo. That's all that matters.
Oh, so you're not the first.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, man. Well, I can imagine. I can understand why, brother, because you got a lot of great things to say. You got a lot to add, and a great attitude about how you do it
Appreciate
all
that.
too. Yes, sir. Well, just kind of tell us your story, Stu. Share with us how you started out and how you grew, because you've made so many strides starting not as an independent mattress store, but growing and becoming independent, and then eventually even, you know, uh, the size of your store, the amount of products you have on the floor, the adjustable bases that you have under your beds to increase that attachment rate, get you a lot bigger tickets and things like that. Just share your story with us.
Okay, so I started in the industry right at about 7 years ago, and unfortunately, I was brought in uh, through a version of a chain which will remain nameless. But it was a stack 'em deep, sell 'em cheap kind of model, and
Mm-hmm.
it was something that we realized fairly quickly that when we got into said franchise that there was some stuff that they weren't really transparent about, and I don't know, we just didn't have like the best taste of it, even after only being a few months into it.
Yeah.
And so after a little bit of doing that, because we couldn't just stop right away, we realized that we had to figure out a way to go fully independent, because we were limited as far as like what we could have bought. The prices that we were getting through them were less than normal. We kind of So we ended up at a trade show, and a rep gave us a price sheet that we weren't supposed to see, and I about pooped my pants when I saw what the different
Yeah.
prices were, and I was like, oh
Right.
man, we got to figure out whatever we got to do to move past this thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
with that, long story short, I'll keep some of that under wraps, but we ended up going independent, probably about maybe like a year and a half later, something like that. And right around that time, so when I first started, I was actually working for my dad. And then right around the time we were getting out of that, we both went and got our own stores. Like I stayed here in Lafayette or in Youngsville, and he moved to Lake Charles, both under the same name, Mattress
Yeah.
Doctor, but both, 100% independent, no franchise. And yeah, just from there, it really opened our eyes to not having, those stipulations, and to be able to kind of do whatever it is that you wanted. And so in the beginning, we had that because we learned that way, kind of all we were worried about is making money and selling stuff for cheap, and that's kind of all we would advertise. And over the course of time, we learned more about the mattresses, but in the beginning, we weren't really trying to solve like sleep issues. We were just trying to sling rectangles. And over the course of the years, I realized that that's not the key to being successful in this game. Is you want to try to help people with their sleep issues, and you can't do that, with a $99 queen. It just ain't happening. It's one of those things. I forget what's his name. He does the puppet, but he's got a great slogan that's like, if I wouldn't bring it to my house, I won't bring it to yours. And that I really like that motto. And so since then we've kind of changed a lot of that. Like I, went from this little bitty like 4-inch mattress that was kind of like my starter price to now I think the thinnest that we sell is like an 8-inch. So I mean it's just the quality of product that I carry now is 10 times better than I ever had when I first started. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's all got much better warranty, and the amount of claims that I see now, I mean, I don't even think it's one a month. I mean, it's very, very minimal, whereas I was getting them all the time before, but it was because I was selling an inferior product. And so in a way I was kind of asking for it by doing it that way. So, I encourage,
Yeah.
you guys to not just look at the price of the cost of the mattress, but when you lay on it
Yeah.
and just how it performs too, because one thing that I've kind of always done this, even ever since I started, was I don't like dealing with issues and warranty issues. So if I've got a particular product that, in my opinion, is failing, after getting like complaints after 30, 60 days, I mean, there's something wrong with that if it's that quickly.
No
And so I'll
doubt.
just pull it from the floor, sell off what I have left, and never reorder it again.
Hmm.
And I kind of still do that to this day. And I feel like that is probably how I've gotten to the place where I hardly ever get any complaints. I mean, like, I might have got like one warranty issue in the last like 3 months. And it was on like a
Oh, wow.
lesser expensive pillow top, which, at least in my personal opinion, if you've been in this game a little while, I personally find that pillow tops tend to dip the most, and that's why I really only
Yeah.
sell like a
Yeah.
few of them, because I kind of don't really believe in the pillow top, if that makes sense. Just the way that most of them are designed. Um,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah, but yeah. So since then,
I agree. They're designed for failure,
yes, it
really.
is. It is like and maybe some of these new
Hmm.
ones they might have like a memory foam inside, because I just know that the foam that they put in there, like it's meant to degrade over time. It's not like that memory foam where it just keeps rising back up. And so I think that's kind of like designed
Yeah.
with a fault. But not all of them are like that. Just some of the cheaper ones that I used to sell. I mean, those suckers would cave. I actually
Yeah.
bought a Serta well before I started in this business. And at the time, I was skinnier than I am now. I'm guessing I was maybe like 160, 170. And at the time, I was single. And I dipped that sucker in like a year. And it was like $1,000 queen, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't call anybody.
Right.
I didn't complain to the company that I bought. So I'm sure that there's other people, out there kind of doing the same. Like, I'm more of the person who's probably just going to buy another one, but I'll probably buy somewhere else. Um,
Avoid that store or
yeah,
that
yeah.
brand.
Now, I mean, if it's something like
Hmm.
immediately, it might be different. And I might be different now because I'm a little bit older now. But back then, I wouldn't have known where the receipt was or any of that kind of good stuff. But to get
Yeah.
back to my story,
Yeah. For
so
real.
when we first started, I wish I had a photo or something to show you, but we only had like 6 or 8 beds, and they were all lined up.
Wow.
I think in the beginning they were just on box springs, all in the plastic. Oh yeah, it
Oh,
was like
man.
one row. I was in the same
Yeah.
warehouse, but we had it set up with tarps
Hmm.
to where it was only like one long row that you walk down, and it just had, I think it was either 6 to 8 mattresses all in a row, from cheapest to most expensive. I think I bet I didn't even have anything over like $500 or $600 when I started. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, this was like
Oh,
super, super
man.
low end. And then, not even like
Yeah.
5 feet away, I had my inventory just leaning against the thing. So it was very much, it almost looked like what you would imagine somebody renting a storage
Yeah.
facility, just like a little bitty 10 by 10 or whatever. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
almost what my store looked like. So it was very
Yeah.
much like, you like it or
Yeah.
you don't. By selling that way, it opened it up to a lot of like negotiations. Because I mean, when you saw something like that, you when you go to see, like, let's say like a Tempur-Pedic dealer, you don't feel as inclined to negotiate because you see, the niceness of the store. You see the fancy headboards.
Yeah.
You've got your experienced rep, whatnot. But where in mine, it's just bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell they came in off a cheap ad, so it just invited like a lot more headache, man. And it took us a little
Oh
while,
yeah.
and we were doing okay with it. It wasn't unbearable, but there was people that were coming and they'd be getting upset or on the verge of like cursing because they weren't going to get something that might have cost $1,000 for $200. But it was just the way that we were
Oh, that's insane.
advertising. I mean, we were kind of asking for it. The way that I was initially taught was that's how you did things. So we were really doing like the bait and switch kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing, and just not being very good for our clientele. Now, once they got here,
Yeah.
we were pretty honest with it or anything like that. But I think at the beginning, we didn't have the best marketing. And I know I'm not the only guy in this group that has went through something like that. But yeah, man, throughout the years, we just got a little bit better, um, a little more open and honest with our marketing. Started to solve like sleep issues. Um, we started moving to selling bed frames, and headboards and things like that. And now, as I move on, we're into bedroom sets. Now, I wouldn't say I sell like a ton of those, but in my personal opinion, I don't care what bed you have. If it's got a nice looking headboard on it, I think it makes the bed look 3 to 5 times better than just sitting on a box spring or even on an adjustable.
Yeah.
Some people might argue against that, and maybe it's just the
Mm-hmm.
way that my store is set up because I have like a good bit of room. The building that I'm in is
Mm-hmm.
5,000 square feet. I'm gonna say around 3,500 for my actual showroom. So I've got a lot of room that, some of the smaller guys don't have.
Nice.
And so I know that if I had less, it would be a little bit different. But yeah, we sell day beds now. I'm actually sitting on a Maloof sofa at the moment. I get those from time to time, honestly, just to kind of keep in the showroom. Like I've got a TV right behind me that I'll throw. Like last week, I put, I think it was Home Alone was on TV, and I just let it play during the day. Just like, I
Okay.
just have this stuff like this is like an old
Yeah.
TV that I had at my house and like an old speaker system. So like if people come in here with their kids, because I mean kids doesn't want a mattress shop, I know like my little daughter's still wild as hell. If I put something
Right.
on YouTube, she's gonna sit here and watch, and so that way I can deal with the parents and try to ask the proper questions. Because if the kid's sitting there pulling on their leg and stuff,
Oh yeah.
you're not gonna be able to give them, or you're not gonna be able to get the same kind of attention, as if they're. Yes,
It's a miserable
exactly. And we have
experience
them
for
all the
mom and
time that,
dad.
people nowadays, there's some people that have
Mm-hmm.
5 to 8 kids, you know what I mean? Like they're jumping on all the beds, and for the most part it doesn't bother me as
Yeah.
long as they don't get hurt. But yeah, if it, because I know as a
Mm-hmm.
parent, if my kid's acting wild in the store, like I'm immediately like annoyed, and like I'm not going to be able to listen to your whole presentation. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
about like wishing you would turn your head so I can pop them a little one. Because nowadays you can't do that in Walmart because they got it on camera, and then
Yeah.
they're sending Social Security on you.
You're in
I
trouble.
don't know. Part of that I think is it might be what's wrong with a little bit of America nowadays. I don't think enough kids get a little light whooping when they need it. Yeah.
little
Yeah.
discipline.
Um.
Right, for sure.
So
There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So what's the story? How did you kind of and I don't know how much detail you can go in on here, but how did you kind of get away from the franchise type deal? Did you have to buy out? Did you
so I can't get into too
what
much
was what
detail
was
on
the
that.
process?
Let's say it wasn't free to get out.
Okay,
Um. I can't really say too much more than
I
that.
see.
But yeah, it wasn't free to walk away.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the meantime, through the process, you've met a lot of interesting people, and you and I both are members of a Facebook group called Mattress Industry Network. Greg Gent and Steve Hoke, great guys that run that. But you and I both have met a lot of people on that, and I know you've probably been to a lot of the uh, conferences, conventions, shows, different things like that, where you get to see people actually in person. We've already mentioned Pete Primo on here, but there are other guys out there that are just
Mm.
absolutely phenomenal, and I know that have helped you along the way, giving you information or wisdom just to help you step up and do better. Can you kind of tell us maybe a couple of stories about meeting some of those guys? I know you've
I
had
have, I have.
Randy
Okay, well,
Thompson
that
in your
being said, I'll
store,
start
haven't
with
you?
Randy. So I met Randy through the
Okay.
group. I don't know who made the introduction. It might have even been something like maybe I saw one of Pete Primo's shows where they're just every time I heard this guy's name, they were like the adjustable bed guru, the adjustable bed guru. And I think just one day it kind of clicked like, man,
Mm.
I'm not selling many adjustable beds. At the time, we might have been selling like one every 2 months, one every 3 months, something like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just
Oh
gonna say
wow.
screw it after talking to Randy because he does the free seminar in his store in Ohio. And I wish I'd have found him sooner. This was probably maybe like a year and a half ago that that I flew up to Ohio and I stayed in Fort Wayne and I rented a little car to his store. Because if you don't know, Randy's kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's a bunch of like windmills and everything like that, but it was a cool little drive. But yeah, he's got an amazing
Mm.
store. His staff is great. Um, and he's a really, really nice guy and really, really knowledgeable. And yeah, I just showed up at his store. I forget if it might have been like a Saturday, and I probably spent, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 hours with him.
Oh, that's
And
crazy.
he was just going over like his whole presentation. And it was really cool, man. Like he didn't like expect anything from me or like he just truly wants to help people. And so I highly, highly encourage you to spend the money
Wow.
and go because all of the money that you're losing by not knowing
Hmm.
how to sell the adjustable bed is far more than what you would spend to go see Randy. And some of you guys are within driving distance and you're still not going. So that's just like how
Oh
bad do
yeah.
you really want it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I flew from Louisiana to Ohio. I mean, I bet I probably spent
Hmm.
$1,500 going to see him. But I looked at it like I had to do it and it was worth every penny and I would do it again. But yeah, he's got this great presentation. Um, not only to tell you all of the medical benefits, but also to help you find the perfect fit for that customer when it comes to like firmness. And he also will share the proper way to sleep on an
Yeah.
adjustable bed, which I won't give away all of his secrets because I do want you to get in touch with Randy, but it's actually on your back. And so he educates his
Oh yeah.
customers and one thing that
Hmm.
he likes to say is he likes to slow down the sale, which makes a lot of sense because if you spend more time, like almost like if you spend more time at the dealership, the likelihood that you're going to buy that day in a nicer vehicle or whatnot is much greater, than if you're coming in the store and you're walking away in 5 minutes, ten
Yeah.
minutes, because you're taking them directly to the mattress that you think they should have when in reality you haven't asked any questions. You've kind of like rushed the sale, and I've done that before in the past. So my first job
Mm-hmm.
ever was in retail, but in a different totally thing. And when it was like a super low ticket like that, and you're really young, I was 18 at the time. All is what does the customer want? You bring them to whatever. Let's say it's paper. You tell them a little bit about what they need, and that's it. Like you're not establishing rapport. You're not thinking about like, okay, I'm really trying to solve an issue here. And what Randy's whole thing is, trying to make the customer feel comfortable, and then asking questions. You want to get the customer talking because they have all of the knowledge, and you're just trying to get it out of them. Whereas if I'm just sitting here saying like I'm the best, blah blah blah, I'm gonna kind of sound almost arrogant, even if I'm doing it in a nice way. But there's a quote, and I think it's actually by Ryan Stewman: "Is he who talks the least earns the most." And that's when it comes to sales. You want to be more of like a
Oh yeah,
listener, almost kind of like a
that's
therapist
good.
in a way,
That's good.
rather than saying like how how many of
Mm-hmm.
these you've sold, or you just because there's been times too, man, where I lost a sale or pushed one away just because I wouldn't shut up. Like and so yeah, sometimes you can blow it by saying too much. But yeah, Randy's thing is trying to find out as much information as possible about the person and what they're going through, whether that's back pain, snoring. I mean, we want to hit them all
Yeah.
because if you get them talking about it, they're admitting that they have all these pain points. And by them coming out with it, by them acknowledging it, it's almost like them re-acknowledging the problem to where when they do that, it almost subconsciously is saying like, okay, like I really need to get this if this feels like it's the one for me, rather than if Randy's just telling them, oh, you need to buy this, you need to buy it. He's asking them all, he's almost letting them make their own decision, and he's just kind of guiding them. And
Yeah.
so that's how I really like to be. I don't like it when people come in, they're like, what's the best
Mm-hmm.
mattress? I get that question all the time. I kind of hate that question, but it's a difficult question to answer, because what is the best for me? And honestly, I don't even know which one's the best because there's like three or four of
Yeah.
them that I absolutely love in my store. But I'm a guy who likes something a little on the firm side. So what is the
Yeah.
best
Right.
mattress? It's not it's not a question that
Okay.
can be answered in my opinion.
It's going to be the mattress that solves your problems, your very distinct problems, because every individual that walks in a mattress store is sleeps different. They have different sleep habits. They have different posture and alignment issues. So all of those things come into play. Uh, you know, and those questions have to be asked to the customer before you can actually find out. I've had customers come in my store before, and they know because grandma said a firm mattress is the best mattress. And they come in, they're a side sleeper. Maybe she's a lady, she's a really curvy lady. We're going to put her on a firm mattress. I know she's going to be miserable. I know she's going to be miserable. Um, and I've tried to talk them out of it before, and ultimately they bought it. Then they wanted to exchange it later. But the issue was that I tried to educate while we were in the sales process. But sometimes it is difficult to educate. You're right. You have to be a therapist. You have to be that person that listens, nods your head, and and
Yeah, Joe.
gently
Joe, you
directs
brought
or
up a really
nudges in the
a
right
really good point
direction.
because my
And that can
favorite
be
type of
difficult.
customer comes in
Totally get it.
and we spend 30, 45 minutes together, going over the beds, talking about the different ones, and it usually boils down to like one or two models.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll turn, this is so rare, but sometimes they'll turn to me, which one would you choose and
Mm-hmm.
why? And then I'll just tell them my answer why, and then they'll get it. But most people do not, like, will listen to like a little bit of what you say, but not like everything. So there's just some people that are going to be really difficult to help. because
Yeah.
Mama knew everything else, so she had to have been right. Mama still holds the crown for best
Yeah.
uh the best pecan
Right.
pie. You know what I'm saying? So Mama probably knew about bed, but back in the day, that's all they had was firms, man. You know, if Mama was in their
Yeah.
90s, I don't know, they didn't have soft stuff back then, so that's all
Yeah.
they
Right.
they had to sleep on. But you're absolutely right. That woman probably would have been miserable.
And how about the doctors and chiropractors that give people prescriptions
Yeah,
on what bed to sleep on as well,
when
too?
when it comes to that,
That
man,
always amazes me.
and
And
and it's weird to say this, but I would say the only thing that you could say like would be like you can push maybe like a brand to someone. Like let's say take for example like a personal comfort. Like you can buy a personal comfort and you can kind of make it whatever you
hmm
want. Like these personal comforts are upgradable, downgradable, they're adjustable, all these different things, but it's also a super high end bed.
oh yeah.
And so if you would let's say tell your customers that they all need this 999 queen, well, you're gonna eventually somebody's gonna say like, oh, that bed didn't work for me. Like maybe you're not the chiropractor for me. I feel like when people do that, man, it's like a money
hmm
grab or something like that, or somehow maybe they're getting some kind of commission off it, or maybe the chiropractor is a dealer or something like that. And
Yeah.
that I just don't really understand. I recently, I would call it more of like a friendship than a partnership, but I've
hmm
got this chiropractor who's in my BNI, and we share referrals, and what he just does is he just refers them to me. He doesn't make any recommendations. He just says, "Look, this is my sleep guy. He's an expert. Go see him because he stresses that there's no
That's
one
awesome.
mattress just for anybody." And so it's great because like I can kind of mention some of the things that he says because there's people that I won't be
Yeah.
able to help because you know how we always get that one person who's like, this mattress has been hurting my back, blah, blah, blah. And, we know the difference between whether or not it's the mattress. Because, if they're waking up and they're still hurting hours later after they've slept, then it's probably a different kind of an issue. And so with somebody like that, I can send them to a chiropractor that I actually use and trust, knowing that he's going to solve their problems or at least, aim to solve their problems because they do x-rays, they do all these other things. It's not like a little bootleg kind of place. And so it's something that's been unique because we didn't like jump into bed together immediately. Like
hmm
we got to know each other. We've known each other for like 4 months now, and so now like we're starting to have a little bit more referrals flow because we wanted to be able to trust each other too. And because now that I'm a client with him as well, I wasn't when we first started. I feel like relationships like that are really, really important, and I'm
Yeah.
looking to kind of get into some others. Like I've got a couple other business relationships. Like one of them is a massage therapist.
hmm
Another guy that I know is like a physical therapist. One that's a little different than what most people think. Like he's not the guy that you go see, after you break your bicep or break your arm or something like that. He's more one that you go see before you have any main issues. Like like if my leg is hurting or whatnot, like you'll go there and he'll pump you up with some dry needling and some stretching and things like that. But these types of networks are all health related, much as ours, because sleep is very, very important. So I like to align myself with people like that locally that, we can have, a two-way street as far as like
Yeah.
helping each other out. But yeah, those have been really beneficial to me as far as like my BNI goes too. I wouldn't trade that for the world. But to get back to some of the other I would say like people that I've looked up to or people that have helped me in the industry. I would say probably one of the biggest ones is going to be Steve Hoke. He spent a lot of time with me helping out my Google AdWords, and I was also involved in. He had run a mastermind, and it doesn't exist anymore, but I think I did either three
hmm
or four um, runs of that, And so just by being in that was really helpful. I think Randy Thompson was in maybe two of the seasons we did. You know, Chris Tahaney was in it for one. Robert Mitzel is a pillow. He's my go-to guy when I don't know an issue about a pillow. He
Mm-hmm.
knows more than anybody about that I've seen. So he's another guy that's helped me out with some pillow. And a lot of these guys, you know, we don't talk every day, but every now and I know that they're all open for me just shooting them like a DM or something like that, and that really helps, you know, a tremendous amount. You know, because we always come up with these questions that um, you know, that we could always seek some guidance from
Yeah.
somebody else who's done a little bit longer. Um, I would say another one that I would like to mention too is Lawrence Hyler's. I recently joined
Oh yeah.
his mattress buyers group through Diamond, and I was already a Diamond dealer before, but he's got like this buying group set up through Diamond. I think he's one of the
Yeah.
larger ones inside of Diamond, and it's just a little bit more beneficial to the dealers. Um, and so that really helped a good bit. And he's also been in this industry like a really long time. I want to say he's been in this like 20 years, something like that, even though he's not even that old. I think he's like maybe mid 40s or something like that. But he's just got like a wealth of knowledge in that.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Because
Yeah.
I think that he even used to like um, work for cons,
Mm-hmm.
like, but not as like a retail associate. I think he was like higher up. So he's had like so you know different levels of experience, you know, working for different companies. So he's a really good connector. He knows like a lot of people from these different vendors and stuff like that, and he seems to have you know like a really good relationship with them all. So he's another guy to where like if I don't know an answer, I feel like if he doesn't know, then nobody's
Yeah.
gonna know, you know. So he's helped me out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Diamond has some very, very helpful educational reps. There's another guy on their group, John Sampson, man, that every time he posts something, it may be a long post, but I feel obligated to myself to read the entire post because there's always so much great information in it. But all these guys that we're mentioning right now are Mattress Industry Network members on our Facebook group. And I'm not getting anything for saying this, but I'm going to put a plug in because I know that any of my subscribers or watchers that go to Mattress Industry Network are going to grow, and you're going to learn a ton there. You're going to learn a ton. So I've been there just a little while, but you know, of course, as of today, I haven't been in the mattress business for 2 years yet. But I see people all the time that just because of the growth that I've had uh, through the education that you get on the Facebook group, and that sounds silly, it sounds crazy, but I know right now that I'm light years ahead of people who have been doing this for forever because they just never push themselves to go that next level. You know, like you said originally, it was all about slinging rectangles, just moving mattresses at high volume.
What happened? But I'm back on.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's cool. I guess probably a bad connection somewhere or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all about moving mattresses at high volume for a lot of people. And it has been for years. I know people that's been doing this for decades, and they do not care about the quality of the mattress. They don't care what the mattress is fixing. They're just moving a product, and that's it. And so I'm much more interested in being a sleep expert and actually solving people's problems. I want purpose in life. I don't want to just do something, but I want the purpose behind it as well. You were talking about your BNIs, and last time that we talked, you really talked about how that they had boosted your sales. Also, I mean, it was huge for
Mhm.
you. I think you maybe gave me like a percentage of an increase or something like that. Um,
Yeah, so I want to say I paid like $650 for a year,
okay,
and I think to date I've sold it might be up to 8,000 now off of
Oh,
just
wow.
those referrals.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things like I'm just getting started. I feel like the more years I get into that, I feel like that number is going to be drastically higher.
Yeah.
Because the more people, like I didn't know any of these people except for maybe one when I joined. And so like now I've met a bunch of other owners, and what we do know is, business store owners know other business store owners who usually know people that probably have more of the income level or ideal clientele that you might be looking for. Like I
So,
had one of these leads, he came in, he was like an insurance guy, and he came in and bought
yeah,
like one of the best mattresses I had on my floor. And
nice.
so these are great quality leads.
Yeah.
And
So explain to us,
yeah.
what is a BNI? What is that for a lot of people that may not know?
So I don't know exactly what it stands for, but basically this is just a BNI. You're going to meet once a week. My group meets once a week. We actually meet tomorrow. We meet for about an hour and a half once a week on Thursdays. I think we have a group of about 18 different people, and everybody in the group is going to be an expert in a different field. So, like, we've got one guy who's a digital marketer. We've got one guy who's a roofer in construction. I've got a handyman kind of dude who also has a cleaning company. I've got a guy who runs an oil change and tire business. I've got a real estate agent. I've got a mortgage broker. I've got a banker. I've got a commercial insurance guy. I've got a massage therapist. I've got a chiropractor. I've got a physical therapist. I've got a fitness trainer, and those two things are actually different. We've got a personal injury lawyer, an attorney, and then I've got a financial advisor, and then an IT guy.
Oh, wow.
So what the thing is you can't have like you couldn't be two mattress stores in one group because that would butt heads. Um, so the point of this group is everybody sends each other referrals, and if I need an oil change, I've got a guy now, and I'm gonna go to him
Yeah.
every time because he buys stuff from me now. He's bought multiple pillows from me, and he sends people that come to his store to me. And so it's just like a mutual thing. Like everybody benefits from one another. Everybody's trying to grow together. And the group that I'm in, we all show up on time. We're all punctual. We're all respectful of each other at time, but we get to know each other. Oh, and I also have a guy who owns a UPS store.
Okay.
And so he does my business cards now.
Yeah.
Anytime I go do my Amazon returns, I go to him because they don't make much money off it, but they get like $1. And then like me and him talk about this all the time, like because Amazon sends them to them, you get to pitch your other stuff. It's almost like a paid lead. And so me and him are always like talking about different ideas for that. I'm like, man, I wish I could have something like that in my store.
For
I
real.
have like video screens set up and all kinds of stuff. I
Yeah.
make jokes thinking about I want to go stand outside his store and just talk to everybody. Dude, he probably sees like 100 something people a day. I mean, every
That's
time I go to
yeah.
his store, there's like 4 or 5 people coming in and out in like 15 minutes. I'm like, wow, this is like totally different than like the average person's mattress game. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, BNI is great. Um, we also do things kind of outside of the meetings too. Like every now and then, we'll go have they did like I didn't get to make it because I was busy, but they have this thing called like a gel soft. It's kind of like a paintball, but it doesn't hurt. It's like
Okay.
this new thing. And so it was kind of like a fun day. Like tomorrow we're having like a Christmas party. And so, we have a little bit of fun with it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically every meeting, you get up. So I'll stand up and be like, "Hey, my name is Stew, the Mattress Doctor. I'm your sleep expert of the group." And you'll have 60 seconds to talk about what you want to say. And so right now, like let's just say my pitch is gonna be, if anybody's looking for something for somebody who doesn't know what to get them for Christmas, a great cooling pillow would be an excellent Christmas gift. And if you also know anybody that has some last minute guests coming in town, and they don't have anywhere to sleep, we're offering free delivery right now, and we have stuff in stock. and we can get them sleeping on that new thing up until Saturday would be the last day that we'll come deliver for free. You know, they don't even have to be there. If you want to unlock the door, we can do that. We can do everything on the phone. You don't even have to come in, you know, if it's
Hmm.
for a guest room. That would kind of be like my little 60-second pitch. And the next person would go, and then we'll have somebody who will do like a more in-depth, like 10 to 15-minute presentation, which would be more of like a slideshow, you know, to where like if I would do mine, you know, I'd be talking about the importance of REM, things like that. And that's actually
Yeah.
what I did my last one on. So it's you're getting to know more about the others' businesses, and just trying to, you know, help each other grow. And it's one of those
Hmm.
things, you know, you really give what you get in the group. And so I'm always trying to, I want to be at the level where I'm giving more referrals than I'm getting, because I know in due time, you know, that will benefit me. But I like to help others as well. So it's a really good thing. I
Yeah.
wish I would have joined on day one of my business, but
So since you
it
told
is
me
what it
about it,
is.
I've been looking for a BNI over here, and nobody in my community knows what a BNI is. So we're
Hmm.
stretching out trying to find something. We may just have to start something. We just have to get it going,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've heard of these in the past. We lived in Southeast Texas, the Beaumont area, and that's where I'm from. And so they had BNIs there. I was aware of it, but it was never something I would connect to until recently. And now I
Yeah.
certainly, especially since you've told me about the benefits of it, I really want to connect with a BNI. But I think it's a great, great thing and all. But anyway, so I know you do you kind of a lot of different types of marketing. You don't focus on just one thing. You do a lot of different things. Can you kind of give us a glimpse into how many different things you do, what all they are, and
Okay.
what success you have?
So, yeah, we've always been kind of multifaceted. I've just kind of grown over the years with that. So I do a little bit of Google AdWords. Like I want to say I've got my budget set around like $20 a day. You know, nothing super crazy. But those are
Yeah.
going to be most of my customers that are searching for it either that day or that week. And, you know, let's say maybe they're looking for one of my competitors, you know, my ad's going to pop up right next to theirs. And a lot of the time, you know, people will click on my ad versus theirs because I have that ad. So those work really well for that. I wouldn't get too crazy with it. I've tried to like double the budget. I have
Hmm.
not seen like a one-to-one double result when you do that. I feel like, you know, kind of past a certain amount, you know, depending on what area you're in or what kind of products that you sell. If you have higher margin, you know, maybe you could go a little bit higher than that. But
Yeah.
that's something that's I'm probably never going to change. That's always, um, you know, that's always been helping. Another one that we do are Facebook Marketplace ads. I'm heavy, heavy, heavy on Marketplace ads. But then on top of that,
How many
um,
do you
I,
do daily? The marketplace ads.
um, probably only like two,
Okay.
but I've got like 130 something active listings on just my account, and my
Yeah.
employee has his own account too. And to be honest, he probably does more than me now.
Yeah.
Um, because when I started, there was times where I'd do three or four a day, but um, it was kind of just to catch up. So like, let's say if I'm selling a bedroom set, this is my mentality. I've got one post on that bedroom set, and it might say 9.99 for the queen bedroom set. But then I might have another post on just the nightstand. Then I might have another post on just the dresser, another one on just the bed. And these are all separate, but I look at it as like I said on Pete's, you know, like different, like having different fishing poles in the pond.
Yeah.
You might not get a message every day on these others, but I guarantee you one day you will get a message if somebody's looking for that specific one, and it helps. And it's not
Yeah.
that much harder to add all these others because usually once they're up, I mean, you can keep renewing these things for months and months and months. Um, and so we do that all the time. And then I'll run another ad. Let's say after I get everything, in my inventory as far are all on marketplace, to where I'll have another one that's just bedroom sets, and it'll have that same photo of the other, but with like 10 other bedroom sets. And so
Okay.
then it's just like when they're looking at bedroom sets, they can just tell me like what color they're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we can do it all online. Other times I just have them come in. I much prefer them to come in. I just find it a little bit easier, because then I can bust out the catalog. Um, and I find that's a little bit harder to send back and forth when you're doing it online. Not to mention if they're in store, they're far more interested. In my opinion, they're actually took the time to come in your store. So that means they really need this product. Whether online, sometimes they just could just be like fishing or not really ready yet. Because there's times where I've sent a message to somebody else. I really wasn't ready for like 3 or 4 months. I was just kind of like seeing what it was, getting a little bit of information. And so you should really, if you get somebody in your store, you know, take the time to put forth way more energy than you
Yeah.
would through like just a message.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because they really took the time. Like I made a joke a long time ago that if somebody shows up to your store with a trailer and you can't sell them, you got a serious problem, dude. You know,
Yeah.
because they came to buy. You don't just happen to ride
Exactly.
around with a trailer. And
Yeah.
and so, you know, um, so yeah, so the marketplace will do that. On occasion, I don't do a lot of this. On occasion, if I have one in particular that is performing very well, like I've got one right now that I probably have 1,000 views on, which for me is
Mm-hmm.
extremely high. On ones that's normal, it might be like 50, 60. A low might be like 10. So when I have one that's really good, like I've got one because it's Christmas and I'm trying to meet a goal, I'm doing like $2 or $3 a day on my popular one, just on
Okay.
one marketplace ad as a boost. But then I have another ad that's an actual paid Facebook ad that I'm running. I think I'm only doing between like $10 and $15 a day at the moment.
Yeah.
And that one is more about focusing on sleeping better tonight, having a little bit better sleep. And that's what some of my Google ads are a little more focused on than anything,
Mm-hmm.
rather than let's say like your marketplace, which might be a little more price centric or price focused. So I find that I have
Yeah.
like a little bit of mixture of both. Another thing too is I do yard signs. Now my yard signs, I feel like just by definition, it's probably going to be really difficult to pull somebody in on lack of sleep on a yard sign. So those are going to be
Mm-hmm.
a little more like we're trying to save you money kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
but those work not as well as they did prior to COVID. I mean, honestly, I feel like everything is different ever since COVID. But for the price that I pay for mine, and I have like a really good dealer that I use in Ohio who does them really cheap. And if anybody
Mm-hmm.
wants that, you can message me. But I want to say that I get like 200 with the steaks for like maybe like $600, and that's with the shipping.
Oh,
And so that's a
great.
really good deal because if you
Wow.
normally around here, if you go local, they might charge you 600 for like 100 of them or more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I got a
They're
really good
expensive.
hookup. Yeah, I don't make any money on it, so I can. It's just a company that's all they do is like signs,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really really fast too. Like if you order today, well, besides from Chris, you probably get it in like a week and a half. I mean, it's very very quick turnaround. The quality's on point. They send you like a proof and everything like that. That's another thing that we do. Um, Let me see here. I'm also in um, this local calendar. It's like I almost wish I had it out here to show you, but if you've ever been to Louisiana, there are always festivals. There's always
Yeah.
a boudin festival, a crawfish festival, a beer festival. I mean, they don't have a margarita festival, but they might as well because
A
there's
rabbit
drive-through
festival.
daiquiri shops around every corner. So Louisiana people, they like to eat, they like to drink, they like to
Yeah.
party, they like to have music. So there is literally almost something going on like every weekend or every night. So on this calendar, let's just say for the month of December, they're gonna have if there's a Christmas parade on, on the 18th, they're gonna have the Saints game on this calendar. They're gonna have, and I think I don't know if LSU's playing this week or not, but if they were, it's gonna be on the calendar and with the time.
Yeah.
So all of these different things. So it's a calendar that is important because of all the data that they put on it, and then that's
Mm-hmm.
all accurate. And then at the bottom of it, it's got their sponsors, and it has a coupon. So like it's
Okay.
got my name, and then I've got like one. I think I'm running like a tax-free coupon. So if they see that, they could cut out this little coupon and come in. Now I'll be honest. Currently, right now, I'm not getting a ton on it. Prior to COVID, like I did decent on it. Nothing crazy, but it was worth having it. So just like
Yeah.
a little things that are a little bit out the box. I feel like marketing works as long as I'm making a little bit more than I spend. It's a success. It's
Yeah.
where when I'm losing or when I'm purely breaking even, it may or may not, work out because on some of the marketing stuff, it may take a good while to go past the break even point, but it just
Yeah.
it just depends. Like another one that I did try this year was I was on the back of a popular grocery store's receipt, and that has not panned out at all. I think I've had one person, and I've been on it like 6 months. So unless I mean, if you're gonna try it, I hope it works for you. It did
Yeah.
not work for me. This store is like a higher end store that's really popular, so I thought it would have been perfect. It's only like a mile away from my store too.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't pan out, so I won't be renewing that one.
Yeah.
Um, Probably the most important one that I'm in a barter network. And so take for example, I am going on vacation to Tennessee on the 1st of January for about a week in the mountains. And I was able to use my barter money to pay for that trip. Now, obviously, it's only the cabin that we're staying in, but I got that money from other people in different businesses buying mattresses for me,
That's
and
great.
I'm the only one I think in the state that sells or at least within 3 hours that sells mattresses in the barter group. So being the only one in there is crucial for my
Mm-hmm.
success with that, and I would bet 97% of these people probably would not have been my customers prior because there's
Yeah.
people that there's a guy that I had, he drove 3.5 hours to come, he was in Shreveport to come buy, I think he got like a puffy from me and I just shipped it
Oh
to his
wow.
store and we did it all on trade. And, so now if I ever drive through Shreveport, I got a nice seafood restaurant to go stop at.
Nice.
And but yeah,
Yeah.
that has been really cool. It's a little bit different getting used to not getting paid with like real money, but there's vacation places, there's oil change places, there's dentists, there's I took my dogs to the vet on this thing. It was a five
Oh
hundred and
yeah.
something dollar bill for two dogs for their annuals and shots.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that, like I try to use it for like my expenses like that, and that's really
Yeah.
helped because I feel like a lot of these people I wouldn't have gotten their business otherwise, because
Yeah.
the guy is not driving 3.5 hours away, if I'm not a part of that network. And I'm not
Exactly.
gonna tell you guys that I have that happen all the time, but it really did happen, and he did get, a very nice mattress that I made a healthy margin on.
Yeah.
So that's something you could look into. My particular network is there's 3,000 members in it, or I'm
Oh
sorry,
man, that's
three
huge.
thousand different businesses.
That's huge.
So yeah, like
Yeah.
we went to Gulf Shores 3 months ago, and I was able to put it all on Moxie. So that was like great. We wouldn't have went otherwise. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it was like a condo on the beach. I mean, this is talking like nices.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just really really cool. Maybe a month ago we went to Baton Rouge for a concert, and it was actually an apartment we stayed at, kind of like an Airbnb, and I was able to put that on my trade. Um, So just like little stuff like that is like really, really cool. Like we like to say like
Yeah.
that's lagniappe like extra. Um,
Nice. Yeah. Good
yeah.
Louisiana word.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's been great, man. I really enjoy it. It's all good people. It's a little bit like a lot of the people too are in my BNI, or maybe not in my group, but some of them are also in C. So it's
Hmm.
just a good way to like meet more business owners. Because I feel
Yeah.
like really like the key to success locally is really like the more people that you know that you have decent relationships with, the more successful you're going to be. Like let's say, somebody like
Relationships.
yeah, like Jeff Giannakovich, he's got his
Yes.
Landcast Connects podcast. I would
Hmm.
bet that he owns a lot of the other business owners and they know him. And
Yeah.
and I know that he gives back. And so like that goes big in the community. And something that Scott Vaughn had said on I think it was what was it, the Friday Pete Primo thing a couple months ago, was
Win
that
the weekend.
they donate a mattress, I think a twin mattress for every bed over a certain amount, or I guess that they select. And so that's
Yeah.
something that I want to look into doing in 2024. Not just to copy off of him or piggyback, but that's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I didn't really know how that fit in, because some
Hmm.
of us like our immediate thought is like, well, how much is this really going to cost me? But if it's something like the way that he described it, it was only on I think a 12.99 or better bed, which already has enough margin, to where you can donate a relatively inexpensive twin, and it also does something back for the community. And I just
Yeah.
like having that commitment to where like no matter
Yeah.
what I'm going to do this on all of these other beds, and then
Hmm.
to go and tag the bed so that they can feel good about buying it from somebody like him. And so I think he's a really great example, if you don't know Scott Vaughn. And I've
Yeah.
never even like had the
Scott's
opportunity to have a
incredible.
one-on-one, but just watching his videos. And I think we've talked once or twice just back and forth on maybe like on Pete's thing, but he just seems like a really great, genuine guy,
Hmm.
that has a big heart, and I
And
can
he's
relate
about
to that.
relationships as well. Just, I mean, that's a big word for
Yes.
him too. That's huge. I'm planning on having Scott on our show soon too, because I think he'd just be so helpful for our watchers. Yeah,
Yes.
he's great, man. I don't know how much time you have, but there's at least a couple of more things I'd like to get out of you.
Okay.
So I'm
What
filling you
about
out. I know
another
you gotta
about
go.
another
You're gonna
10
serve.
minutes?
What's that?
Let's go about another 10 minutes, and I think I might have to
Okay.
roll.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to I'll just go ahead and throw them out there, and I'll let you take as much time as you'd like to on both of them. D2C brands, direct to consumer. I know you have them in your store. I think that's vital to the health of a new store, or any store for that matter, because free advertising dollars. Why not take it? And then on the other hand, you've got your own personal story that I think is really inspiring and great. And I think that there's a lot of people that may have things that hold them back, and they just need to let go of it and go ahead and step out and do what uh, you know God is prompting them to do. March into it, man. Open the store up, do something great.
Okay.
So I just kind of wanted to hear from you about those two things as well.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start with the DNC because that's a little bit shorter story. But so the three D2C brands that I sell are going to be Personal Comfort, Helix, and Puffy.
Okay.
What I like about that is they all hold brand recognition and they bring in people that I would not have otherwise. Like gotten people all the time. I think I've been a Puffy dealer and a Helix dealer right at about a year, if not at a full year already. But um, my first Puffy sale ever, the guy drove 3 hours away again from Shreveport. This was a
That's
different guy, not
crazy.
on the Barter Network.
Yeah.
And he bought like a Royal Split King. I mean, this was
Nice.
maybe 5 grand, something like that. And I was like, holy smokes, like this is like I wasn't getting things like that, especially from somebody, halfway across the state.
Yeah.
And I think it's an amazing product. I think it's really comfortable. I think it's very, very unique. I know that my rep Greg Gent and Brent, have always backed me when I had an
Yeah.
issue. And I really only had maybe like one small issue, and it was kind of like a comfort exchange. So I like having the backing, of the sleep trial.
Yeah.
Um,
I
our
haven't had to deal with
customers,
Brent much, but Greg, man, is a super helpful guy. Super helpful.
he is, yeah, he's
Yeah.
always available on the phone. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of the customers now, especially when you're looking at something, that could potentially be $4 or $5,000, but let's just say between 2 and 5 grand on the price of like a Puffy King, depending on what you're looking at, because most of us aren't selling the least expensive one, the Cloud. It's
Hmm.
usually the Luxes, the Diamond, or the Royal, which is the nicer margin ones. They want some kind of reassurance that if they don't like this thing, they're not stuck with it.
Yeah.
Because some people are putting it on this credit card and maybe they haven't even paid the thing off.
Hmm.
Um, and they don't want to be stuck with it. So the sleep trial really, really helps with that. And having the manufacturer back me on that, means the world to me. So I'm not like grunting or discouraged if somebody comes back with that type of issue. Whereas if I would be eating that, like it might like affect me a little bit like that. And so that really helps. Um, I'm sorry, Helix has been really, really great, man. So when I first started out with Helix, it took a few months to sell, but now I'm actually selling more Helix than I am Puffy at the moment.
Oh,
But
wow.
we do sell them both. I find they go kind of hand in hand. There's really only like, in my opinion, one model that is almost the same as the Puffy, and that's the Elite and the Diamond. Um,
Hmm.
all of the other models like have a totally different feel. It's almost like apples to oranges. I feel like the story behind each of them is different, so I don't really feel like they compete all that much against each other. Um, I feel like they kind of help one another because I often
Mm.
have people that that if they're coming in for a puffy, they really don't even like. I might have them lay on a few other things, but they're kind of already sold on that puffy, and so like more often than not, like I'm just like a facilitator of the sale,
Yeah.
and so I'm getting leads and clientele that I didn't actually have to pay for, because
Hmm.
Puffy, Helix, and Personal Comfort, are using that ad spend. And so
Yeah.
that's something, that honestly, it might not always be like this. In 10
Hmm.
years, things might be a little bit different, or, some of these brands might not even be in business. So I look at it like I might as well take advantage and partner with the ones that are good. Because not only
Yeah.
do I want the traffic, but I also want the product to be good too. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to bring one in that they're going to be calling me, every 3 months with an issue, just because I made more money on it. Like that doesn't sound
Yeah.
like a good time to me. And so
Uh-huh.
I've had a really good relationship with both of the brands, and but yeah, I highly encourage that. To get back to the other story. So,
Yeah.
Joe, I know that you know a little bit about this, but I uh, I have overcome drug addiction,
Hmm.
and I went through many, many years of my life, being hooked on different kinds of drugs and just not kind of like living up to my potential. Like, I still always worked, but I worked kind of like half, and I didn't have God in my life, and
Yeah.
in a way, I was really, really selfish and I wasn't kind of like thinking about anybody but myself.
Mm.
And I have been through, like rehab and things like that to get off drugs, but probably more than anything that helped me is having a relationship with God and being
Wow.
and finding God again. Like I got baptized again probably, I'm gonna guess and say like 8 or 9 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. Hmm.
And just doing it as an adult, I find is very different than. So my backstory is, I grew up Catholic, and in the
Yeah.
Catholic religion, you're baptized. Most people are baptized before they can even say a word,
Hmm.
and so like you didn't really like have a choice, And I went to Catholic school and stuff like that, but I didn't really find, that um, that that flavor of church fit me well.
Yeah.
But now I go to like a non-denominational, and I find it's a little bit more relatable, at least for me. Not
Hmm.
knocking, because we all kind of believe almost the same thing. It's just a little bit different way. Like mine is a little bit less traditional. We've
Yeah.
got
Right.
full band on stage. There's projectors. There's edited video. I mean, like it's a little
Yeah.
bit more entertaining, but at the same time
Keep your
too, I
attention.
yeah, what I find even more than that, what I like even more than all that fun stuff is that there's a really long sermon. Church is longer. It's probably, I don't know, 45 minutes. And they're not afraid to talk about, you know, sore subjects. And so I find like it's
Hmm.
a little more heartfelt when we do things like that. And so that worked out for me.
Yeah.
Yours may be different. Not no, you're not knocking anybody else's religion
Hmm.
or what they believe in, but that just helped me out a lot. Because I know that especially when I first started going back to church, I either cried or almost cried like every time because I felt like the
That's
preacher
amazing.
the pastor
Yeah.
was talking directly to me, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that you've probably had an experience like that too,
Yeah.
because
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like almost every sermon, it's like he's talking to me because I've made
Uh-huh.
all those mistakes or had all those thoughts and feelings, that they go over. And
Yeah.
so it's one thing to know that we're not alone and that we don't have to be perfect, you know, um,
Hmm.
and none of us are, not even
Yeah.
the pastors. And I just think that that's really cool. That like I one thing I really liked was, and it kind of changed my mind about like having mentors and coaches and stuff, was when my pastor was like, "I'm a pastor of a huge church and I have a pastor." Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, they're like, and like
Right.
there's people, and I can't think of anybody at the moment, but there are certain people that are at the top of their game that are kind of like, I don't need anyone else. I don't need a mentor. But even these people, and this guy probably has like 6 or 7 churches, and he has
Mhm.
a mentor, and he's
Yeah.
always had one. But then it's like, how do you think this guy got there? Because he mentors people and he has a mentor as well. And I guarantee you he's always going to have one. And so I thought that that was
Definitely.
something that kind of changed my mind, as
Hmm.
far as like having either business coaches or things like that, or even just like a personal mentor. Like I actually go see a uh, a therapist like just every now and then. I think I go like once every 2 weeks just for an hour just to talk about some of the things that I'm going through. And it's not even that it's that bad. It's just to kind of like get some of the things out of my head. And
Right.
fortunately it's in my trade network. So but I was like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, let me go sign up. Like wasn't even going
Hmm.
through anything, big at the time, but I know how many hours of that kind of counseling and stuff I had to go through in order to kind of get out of my junky ways through like my addiction years. And so
Yeah.
I know that like if every now and then I'll do some stuff like that, it will keep me going and keep me mentally sane,
Hmm.
because this life is not just like an up curve, like it's like the
No.
Bitcoin
Right.
thing, man. We're gonna crash and we're gonna go up. And
Hmm.
I'm just trying to kind of be like a little bit level.
Yeah.
And if I
Well, you
can
go to
do
the
that,
gym, regularly, and
yeah,
obviously you're a gym guy, and so you're taking care of your body, but to take care of your mental health, take care of your emotional health, things like that. Those are all very, 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 very important. And to take care of your spiritual health, like you're talking about going to church regularly. And our church has 24/7 prayer. The doors, there's a code. Everybody, the first time you come to our church, you can come talk to somebody. You can get a code. You can get in the church. We have brand new people. In the last probably 2 months, we've baptized over 40 people at our church. And it's really cool to me because, like yesterday, I went by twice by our church to pray. And you got to take care of your spiritual health daily, daily. And so went by there, and there were people in there, even our new people that just recently came. And a lot of these people are coming off of drugs, just like yourself, And man, it's that's the world that we live in. And people need hope, they need help, and nobody needs to stay. where they were, but we all just need to move forward. I think there's so much good in that. And I'm really, really excited to find out from you that it wasn't just like a decision, but it was God that helped you through it as well, man. That just does me so much good. And I think this is talking to a lot of people as well that are watching this, really talking their hearts. We're giving them information, but we're also, I think, encouraging and strengthening somebody right now. It's been a great blessing. So I
No,
appreciate it.
100%, man. Because
Yes, sir.
if God didn't exist and God didn't have my back, like I wouldn't be here today. You know, like I could have
Yeah.
like overdosed, or could
Yeah.
have gotten in a car wreck and died, or something like
Mm,
that. So like, I know that He exists. Like I've seen, some extraordinary things happen in others' lives as well as my own, that he's just pulled me through. So, we
yeah.
have to give glory to Him. And yeah, you
Right.
can you can change anything with having your faith in Him and making some
Mm,
different choices. And I like to say, it starts with like your daily habits.
yeah.
Um, you know,
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. That's well, this has been a great podcast. A lot of good information, wisdom, and encouragement on here, and I appreciate that.
appreciate
And
you, Joe.
anyway, I would just say to everybody out there, go out and flex big like Stew. I mean, I did my best. There it is, baby.
All
All right, man. Well,
right, man. I
thank you so
appreciate it.
much, Stu, and I hope you have a blessed day. And I know you're going to serve some people in your community right now. I think you're
Yes,
doing
sir.
a soup line or something, man. That's incredible. So,
Yeah, I've never
really
done it,
appreciate you
man.
doing
And
that.
I was like, you know what, man? I'm almost 40 years old. I've never done this. I need to get my butt in there and go do it. So yeah,
There you go.
yeah. And
There
I'm
you
going with
go.
my mom and my dad too. We're all going today.
Yeah,
So
that's great,
yeah,
man. Well, you're a
yeah.
great guy, man. You got a great heart, and I know that things are going to work out for you in the future too. So,
I
thanks so
appreciate
much
it,
for
Joe.
being with us today. We appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you, man. Have a good day.
Takes care. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye bye.